This is the second of two Shakespeare masterclasses where Year 10 students from North London are studying Othello. In the first masterclass, they learned some key quotes by heart, tried their hand at writing blank verse, and studied the many dramatic possibilities of the handkerchief. In this second programme, students used props and a few key quotes to play literary detectives and piece together the plot outline of Othello.
I hate them all.
I hate them all. Who says that?
Iago.
Sequencing work on a key soliloquy follows.
Basically making him angry.
Yeah.
And finally, they get their hands on a copy of the play. They workshop a short key scene using the technique of forum theatre.
Do not Schneid, I have a thing for you.
You have a thing for me.
By the end of these activities, the students should be full of ideas and questions about Othello, and hopefully confident about language and eager to study the play in depth.
So we've still got quite a lot of the story that we don't quite have fitted into the jigsaw yet. And that's what we're going to do now. We're going to play literary detectives. And some of you have got some lines written in front of you on card, but most of all, you've got some props here. And if you were a troupe of actors in Shakespeare's day, you would have arrived at the theatre, you wouldn't necessarily have known the story, you would have been given your speeches, and then you would have gone on stage and simply said your lines when it was your turn to speak. So just to begin with, put your hand up if you've got a clue about the play which you're pretty sure about. Put your hand up. Something about the story in the play. Mimi.
Othello is a good man.
Othello is a good man. OK.
His world was turned upside down.
His world gets turned upside down. It does. Anything else?
He falls in love.
He falls madly in love. Who does he fall in love with? Well,
Desdemona.
Desdemona. I'm going to put the names up on the board because I'm going to give you the 5 main characters, and from there we're going to start to use the props that you can see to piece together what we know about what happened to those people. All right? So the first character, who is it? Othello. Now, say that word and tell me how it feels to say that word. Say it out loud. Othello. What kind of feeling does that name have inside your head, Othello?
It's quite sort of aristocratic. It's quite like, it sounds quite special and kind
Yeah,
of...
good, quite aristocratic. Who else do we know is in the play? Another character.
Desdemona.
Desdemona. Say that to yourselves. Now, what do we know about her?
Othello falls in love with her.
Yeah, he falls madly in love with her, she falls madly in love with him. Who else have we got? Iago. Have you ever seen a name like that? Say it to yourself. Iago. Again. Iago. What is that name? Some people say that they noticed this. The I. Iago. Iago is an egotist. It looks like ego. OK? He is an egotist. He is the one, though, that does not have the promotion he feels he should have. OK? He only has the ensign's cap, whereas Othello has the general's cap, and we're coming to somebody else. Cassio. Cassio, everything falls into Cassio's lap. He's good-looking, he's not been in the army very long. Iago's been in the army for years and years and years. He's served Othello all his life. And when Othello was made general, Iago expected, to get the lieutenant's cap. And who got it? Cassio. Cassio. OK? A sweet-sounding name. One more person. Did anybody pick up? There's a 5th character, and it's a woman. It's Iago's wife, Emilia. OK? Let's see what we can work out about this play. Who'd like to be the general? The general, Othello. Go on then, Sinead. Who's going to be the lucky one at the first? Cassio. Jean-Luc? And we want someone energetic. He steers the whole thing. you be Iago. All right, so now we're going to just try and look at the props and we're going to piece this story together. You've got some quotes. What's your quote?
I hate the Moor.
I hate the Moor. Who says that?
Iago.
Iago, OK. He hates the Moor because the Moor promoted Cassio and not him. Where does this play take place? The Mediterranean, yes. No, who's got the second quote? Who's got the quote that begins reputation, reputation?
Reputation, reputation, reputation. Oh, I have lost my reputation.
Fantastic. Who do you think says that?
Maybe Othello.
You think, well, you're right, you know. He loses his reputation. He loses everything. But it's not him who says it. Somebody else loses everything. Who's that? It's Cassio. Cassio loses everything. Would you like to give Cassio's cap to VJ? Right, put that on. Cassio loses everything very early in the play. He's been promoted. Have a look at the props, please. What do you think happens? What could have happened? Liam?
He has a drinking problem.
He doesn't actually have a drinking problem. He doesn't drink, usually, and he can't hold his drink. But Iago, who knows everything and watches and understands people, Iago gets him drunk because he hates Cassio. Cassio's got that cap. He wanted it. He gets Cassio drunk. What happens when people get drunk? What's one of the first things that happen, or often it happens? Look at the clues.
You could hurt someone else without really meaning to.
Yes. Look, you get into a fight. And that's what happened. Iago got Cassio drunk. Cassio got into a fight. A riot broke out in the officers' mess. He started to attack somebody with his knife. He nearly killed them. Othello comes in, because Iago tells him. He's absolutely outraged. He sees what's happened, and he sacks you. So give me back your cap. And then you say, you realise you've lost everything. And what Iago does, Iago, where are you? There you are. You're sitting there. You're watching and listening, which is what he does in the play. Iago says to Cassio, don't worry, you go and beg Desdemona to give you back, for your husband to give you back the job. And as soon as Cassio did that, Iago said, ha, I like not that. And that was Iago pointing out that Cassio was talking to Desdemona and started to sow the seeds of doubt into Othello's mind. OK? Eventually, we know Iago got his hands on this hanky, and it had belonged to Desdemona. He'd given it to her. It was his only gift. Othello had been a soldier all his life. Part of Othello thought, why did she fall in love with me? Here I am, a much older man. I'm not from the same city as her. I'm not from Venice. Perhaps she's already got tired of me. So Iago, you knew that, and you knew how to sow the seeds of doubt. OK, huge row breaks out. He says to Desdemona one day, give me my handkerchief. She can't find it because Emilia has taken it. It dropped to the ground. Emilia found it. She knew Iago wanted that hanky. She had no idea why, but she gave it to him. And then when Othello asked for the hanky, it wasn't there. He began to think, it's true. And, Iago, you also said that you saw Cassio wiping his beard with it. Big row. Who has got the quote that starts, alas the day?
Alas the day, I never gave him the cause.
Who do you think says that?
Desdemona.
Desdemona. After the argument, OK? Now, a lot of this play takes place where?
Bedroom.
Bedroom. Can you see the bed? And in the bedroom, they have this row. She can't find the handkerchief. He asks her where it is. She can't find it. And he's very, very rude to her and calls her what? Who's got the next quote?
She turned to folly, and she was a whore.
Yes. When the language gets violent, then the actions get violent too. What do you think happens with this? Lizzie,
He kills her.
how do you kill someone with a pillow?
Smother them.
Right. Othello leans on the bed and presses this to her face and kills her because he's sure she has been unfaithful to him. And his mind has just tipped, OK? He's kind of gone. He's lost control. But Emilia comes in, who's extremely strong and feisty, and she understands in a moment what's happened. And she's just about to say, I realise what it is. I gave the handkerchief to Iago, my husband. I know what's going on. When the door bursts open and in comes Iago. Emilia is about to spill the beans. He runs at her and kills her. She falls dead on the bed with Desdemona. Who's got the last quote? Dying, Amelia says,
More she was chaste, she loved thee, cruel more.
she loved thee, cruel more. And then Othello realises what he's done, and in despair, he takes the sword, he kneels on the bed, he kisses Desdemona, he says, I kissed you before I killed you, and then he leans on his sword and falls and dies himself. And that's the tragedy of Othello. OK, so we've worked out the plot, you've looked at single lines, and now we're going to look at a whole speech. OK? And what Shakespeare did in a lot of his plays was that he put soliloquies, which are long speeches by a single character. But the character is on stage alone. And they speak a speech which is a kind of thinking aloud. And the thinking aloud is often a working out of a problem. It's often a kind of wrestling with an idea. And in this play, one character has lots of soliloquies. Who do you think it might be? Put up your hand. Jean-Luc.
Iago.
It is. Why do you think Iago might have so many?
Because he's angry with Othello and he's got so many thoughts going around in his head, he just needs to get them all out.
Yeah. And Iago...
Do we need to kind of know his evil plan? Because it's quite a complicated evil plan.
Absolutely. You're thinking like a playwright, aren't you? We need to know what's going on in his head because he is the machine that drives the plot. OK? So, Iago has lots of soliloquies, and we're going to look at one of the soliloquies, and we're going to look at the soliloquy where Iago has the handkerchief in his hand, he's alone on stage, and he's working out how this is going to turn Othello's world from a heaven into a hell. OK? In Othello's knapsack, there are green, red and white lines all cut up. So get your lines, I want you to spread your lines out, and as a whole group, you've got about 5 minutes to try and sort out the lines so that they become a soliloquy that makes sense to you. Right, that's got a full stop, so you think that's possibly at the end. OK.
That explains it.
Yeah, that's true.
But with a lesser act.
That I did say so. You might ask yourself, I wonder what sounds more final.
That's like, I'll make him more angry.
Yeah, I did say so. It does sound like it.
I will make him more angry, and then that's explain how he's getting him angry.
I don't know what that's about.
You're right, there is a finality. I did say so.
Maybe that goes again as well, because they seem to go together.
Yeah, because that's
How are you getting on? You're absolutely right to pay attention to the punctuation. The meaning is often there. So read what you've got already. What could come after the colon? Yes. Well done, Charlotte. Read it.
The moral already changes with my poisons. Dangerous conceits are in their nature's poisons.
And then saying that it doesn't seem that big, but jealousy is something big.
This may do something.
So that's like a final bit, is it, for you?
Which at first the scare found in Judas.
Read it through, as it is. One of you.
The more mine already changes with my poison, I will encast you as lodgings, lose this napkin, and let him find it. Trifles light as air are to the jealous confirmation strong. As proof of holy wit, this may do something. Dangerous conceits are in their nature poisons, which at first the scare found to distaste. But, with a little act upon the blood, burn like the mines of sulphur. I did say so.
Beautifully read. Well, I think it works.